Hi guys.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our second edition of Everything Moderation Debates. Today, Anthony Brancliata, your moderator. Uh, so today we have Eric, who is for pro minimum wage, and Sean, who is not for minimum wage. And minimum wage, talking about $15 minimum wage. So we're going to do things a little different from last time. So we're going to see from both sides. We're a 20-minute discussion. I'll be here to see in between, so in case someone interrupts each other, I'll be here to break up the fight in case there is one, and then we'll go dive into questions. So without further ado, Eric and Sean, go ahead.
All right. I think it probably makes more sense if I start. I'm for
You can
minimum
go
wage.
first. All
Yep.
you.
So, all right. So basically, a little bit of history about minimum wage. Founded by Roosevelt in 1938. The point was to give people an income that is more than just like a bare subsistence level. Um, so basically, my argument is going to be a bunch of different things. So, common misconceptions are that it's going to cause mass unemployment, and I don't believe that to be true. Um, Another thing is that it might even benefit the employers because they'll get better workers. They won't have to replace them as much, and they'll be happier. It also won't increase the price of goods too much because spending is going to increase. You give money to poorer people, they're going to spend more. Minimum wage, another common argument, minimum wage is going to cause house prices to increase. I don't believe that to be true because minimum wage hasn't increased in 10 years and house prices have still gone through the roof. And also, one more thing, not a single county in the entire United States is able to, like, no one is able to live off of minimum wage 40 hours a week, like the federal minimum wage in any county in the United States.
So obviously I'm against this. So my main arguments for this are going to be job loss. I think we're just going to be firing right back and forth about all of these topics. So I'm going to say there's going to be a job loss from an increase in the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It's going to actually hurt the low skilled workers that it's supposed to be helping. It's going to have an effect on them, exactly what they're trying not to do. It's not going to have a big effect on the actual reduction of poverty, which is also like a main reason to do it. So if it's not going to help that, why would you want to do it? And it's a higher price for the consumer because when you start raising the money that people earn, everybody else raises how much stuff costs. So you're earning more money, but you're spending more money. It's going to balance out to the same thing. I think that this is more of a policy move. I understand the intentions behind it, like for the people themselves that are pushing for it, they think it's going to help people. But for the politicians, this is purely a policy move that they don't really care how it works. For them, it's more to get the votes. It's a policy move. And to go off of what he said in the history part where Roosevelt put it in originally as a way to have, what did you say, like a substantive
More than bare subsistence level wage.
Okay. So maybe that's why it was created. And I'm sure he had the best intentions with that. But I don't know about you, but when I think of minimum wage, I think of an entry level job. It was never meant, like, they're not meant to produce for an entire family. They are meant to be an entry point to the workforce, not to provide for an entire, like, 4-6 person family unit.
All right. So I'll start by responding to that last point. The how it won't it's not supposed to like provide for like a family or whatever. But raising the minimum wage to $15 isn't just going to affect the small amount of people who actually are making the federal minimum wage. It's going to affect 27 million people who are making between the minimum wage now and the $15 minimum wage that's proposed. And also, if you raise that minimum wage to $15, the people making around that $15, like 16, 17, are also going to increase their wages up. So I don't think it's true that it's just like a policy move. But I also do think it's not necessarily the best solution. I obviously advocate for like UBI, but I think America's not really ready for that. So in the meantime, raising minimum wage is probably the best way to lift people out of poverty. And I did see a stat that it would reduce 1 million people out of poverty immediately if it was $15.
So yes, it definitely would help with poverty, but let's see what I have. So for the people that are in poverty, it's estimated that only 11% of them that are in poverty would be affected by this in a positive way and get them out of poverty. The rest of them still wouldn't be making above the poverty line. They're still in poverty. It's not helping them. They're
Maybe
still in
raise it
poverty.
more then.
That just leads to the more you increase it, here's the problem with raising it. You have to find the sweet spot to raise it to. If you raise it too high, it helps less and less people. If you raise it too low, it helps less and less people. You have to find the sweet spot where it helps people, but it doesn't raise the prices and the price of living or the cost of living and make everything too expensive for the entire reason that you just gave people more money. Now they're spending more money. Net increase is negative.
The thing is, I don't think it's going to increase the cost of living that much because you're not really like creating new money. You're just changing where the money is going. So instead of all that extra money that like is profit from the business, it doesn't go to the owners of the business. It goes like to the workers. And like I said, the workers are generally going to be like lower income. So if you give money to lower income people, they're going to spend it. The more that's being consumed, the prices might actually go down.
I have 2 points off that. First one is with the higher prices, it's estimated that for a 10% increase in the amount of money you're earning, like income, there would be a 4% increase in just food prices. And in correlation with that, every time that restaurants find prices in, or when income increases, restaurants raise their prices. Like regardless of whether or not they have to pay their workers more, they raise prices when income increases. So you're spending more money to go out and eat, and you're spending more money to buy food. And then my other point, to go off of what you said that giving the poor people that are in poverty more money means that you'll be able to help them. And yes, in theory, that is absolutely correct. But what you also have to think about is if people can, so when you, as I said, like how it's an entry level position and you need to be able to use it as an entry point to the market, it's estimated that there would be 310 fewer teenagers in the workforce, 310,000, sorry, and 550,000 less part-time jobs because they wouldn't be able to afford having them. And the reason that there'd be less teenagers in the workforce is because, as I said, with the entry point, it's like it changed from how Roosevelt wanted it to be to being the entry point. And when you think of it as an entry point, it's there for you to gain experience and then you move on. You gain experience, you find out how the real world works, you learn to talk to managers, you learn to handle money. If you can't enter the workforce, you never learn that. So you're going to have less skills. And then when you do raise it, the people that already have these jobs, it leads to stagnation. If I'm making $15 an hour when I used to be making $7 or anywhere in between 7 and 15, if I'm making more money to do my job, I'm not going to bother trying to find a new job because I'm making more money. Why would I want to invest in myself and learn more skills? And then the problem is you don't learn how the real world works. And if you do eventually move on after like 5 years or so, you're going to get out into the real world and realize you're not marketable to any other position other than what you are. If you've worked as a deli clerk for the last 5 years and you decided to stay there because you were making such good money, all of a sudden you move to a new city or state, anywhere, and you don't have your old job anymore. You're like, wow, money is different. It costs more to live here. I'm not marketable. I can't get a new job because I don't have any skills to work in a new industry.
Yeah, but we still have that problem now, except those people just don't have any money to like you can't if they quit their job, they die. Like you can't eat, like you can't pay your bills, like you're just gonna die. So instead of that being like the issue, how about we raise the minimum wage and then they can figure out how to market themselves when they have like money to like spend. And also the other thing you said, like a 4% increase in food prices. I don't think that's a bad thing if we're raising minimum wage 50%. So if you raise or 100%.
No, I'm saying 10% increase in income is a 4% increase in food prices.
Okay. Well, the thing is, we believe that the market is like the free market will work everything out. If you raise prices too high, bad things are going to happen. No one's going to buy your product. If it's too low, you might as well just like if they can get away with raising it now, they should just raise it now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're saying like it should be an entry point. I mean, I kind of agree with you. Like a flat minimum wage job, 7.25 an hour, most of the time it's going to be an entry point. Most of the time it's going to be worked by like a teenager, like a college student or something. But that doesn't change the fact that there are some people that don't have the skills to work a job that's more than that. And I don't think that we should punish those people because a lot of those jobs are held by teenagers. Because you legitimately, it's not a living wage. You cannot live on that money. I don't know how people even survive right now if they're making 7.25. But I will
No.
say one thing that we probably should discuss that I'm not sure where I'm at on is the fact that raising the federal minimum wage to $15 like all across the board when cost of living is so different in so many different states could lead to some issues. But like I said, that like you can't afford a one bedroom apartment in any county in the United States on this wage right now. So I think it needs to be raised everywhere, no matter what. But I don't know, like if you're in like the middle of nowhere, is $15 really necessary? I'm not sure. I've never lived there. But in like big cities, $15 probably isn't even enough. So
Fair.
thoughts on that?
I saw that while I was doing all the research. I think it's 14 states right now just go by the federal minimum wage, but a lot of the other states, I think it's 29, have their own, and the rest of them kind of they've gone back and forth on it. They've gone with federal minimum wage, they've gone their own wages in the states. And actually, I think two of the states it was actually lower in the state than it is federal. They have like a mandated lower state minimum wage. So, I mean, like the places that have the federal wage as their wage are overwhelmingly a majority of the southern states, which makes sense. The cost of living down there isn't as much as the cost of living in the north and like all the way out west in like California and such. Like obviously living in the cities, there's a lot more cost of living than to live on a farm or live in a small suburb in the south. So you would definitely have to look at that. I don't know if a blanket $15, like I don't think a blanket $15 minimum wage is the way to go. I do agree with you on that UBI thing. Definitely would be a better option, but I don't know how we would implement that right now with all the stuff you'd have to change.
All right. So going back to like your opening statement, you said it's going to hurt low skilled workers. And I just need some clarification on that statement because I have no idea how that would happen.
Okay. So part of it is why would you work a better job if you can stay there? And the other part of it is someone can make $15 an hour, like flipping burgers at McDonald's. You're going to have a lot of overqualified individuals that are working these jobs, and they are like they're overqualified. They could be working other jobs. They're not. The people that need these jobs that don't have any other skills, the exact people you're trying to help, aren't going to be able to get these jobs because why would you hire someone like that when you could hire someone that's more qualified? And I mean, not to say that I would, like looking at it just from a pure, I don't know how to phrase it, standpoint. If I can work and flip burgers for $15 an hour, why would I want to go into the business world and do something? I can just sit here, do a couple shifts a week. I get $15 an hour to flip burgers and wear headphones all day.
Well, flipping burgers sucks and there's no like growth potential. So like if your argument is like, oh, why would I be like why would I go into business if I wanted to just like make $15 an hour flipping burgers? First of all, if you were in business, you'd be making way more than $15 an hour. And second of all, it's way easier to work your way up the chain, become like uh higher up in a business sense than like, okay, maybe if you flipping burgers, you can be a manager and make $17 an hour. But like, is that really like someone who's overqualified? Is that really what they want to do with their life? I don't think that's necessarily how it would work out.
Um, in 2012, there was an analysis done of the New York State minimum wage increase from $5.15 to $6.75 per hour. And it found a 20.2 to 21.8% reduction in the employment of younger, less educated individuals. So I agree with you that that's not how like I would think or you would think, but it's clear that just from New York in and of itself, and this was raising it $1, not doubling it, it led to a 20%, like a fifth of the workforce. They lost a lot of the younger, less educated people. You're not bringing new blood in. People are taking the easy jobs. They don't care about the growth potential. Now they're making so much money with $15 an hour. They don't need to go do something else. So I'm going to hire the guy that's older and has been doing jobs rather than the young kid who has no idea how the real world works. Why would I hire him? And it's not like, I don't think we would think like that, but it's clear that a lot of people do think like that. And it literally happens.
I don't know. I feel like that study doesn't support like your conclusion, because like you're saying that raising the minimum wage by $1 had 20% less teenagers working or something, and your argument is just what even was your argument? You put me in a pretzel.
Low skilled workers.
Yeah, like what about it?
It would hurt like low skilled workers. So like it hurts low skilled workers in the sense that they're not going to get the job, because I'm not going to hire someone that's less qualified if I can hire someone that's more qualified. That's just
isn't it better? Did someone say something? Oh, sorry. Isn't it better to give those jobs to like someone who needs to support themselves anyway?
I mean,
providing for like, because the thing is like these.
I agree with you that that's how I would think, but it's not how, as a, like if I'm a businessman, I'm not going to hire someone that's less qualified just because they need a job. I'm going to hire someone that needs or that's better at their job, because they're better at their job. They're going to make me more money. I don't care if this person needs the job to survive. Why would I take them?
All right. So I know you said in your opening statement that it's going to increase like the cost of like goods and food and stuff and all that. But perfect example, we're talking about flipping burgers. I looked at in Denmark, the McDonald's workers are paid $22 an hour, and a Big Mac costs 30 cents more in Denmark than it does here. So the thing is, like, especially, we haven't even talked about small businesses, but like these big corporations, like they can 100% afford to pay their workers more, and without really increasing the price. Because if McDonald's increases their price by too much, people are just going to go to the next fast food place.
Now, I completely agree with you on that. And I'll talk about both the small and the big businesses. So smaller businesses are definitely going to be hurt more by this. You're absolutely correct. Most of them, we're talking about smaller businesses, they're like the mom and pop shops, or they're only like one, maybe two locations. They are probably going to have pretty razor thin margins. They're not going to have big margins like these giant companies. So you raise the price of goods to offset more money that you have to spend in wages. You lose customers because you had to raise prices and they're going to go somewhere cheaper. You lose income, and then you either have to lay off or you lose your business. With the big companies, they're just going to let people go. They can definitely afford to do it. But instead of paying someone to do this, and I was looking at which industries this would be most susceptible to, it seems it would be food service, hospitality, retail, construction, and manufacturing. Why am I going to pay someone to do it when I can just invest the money in tech? I'm going to make a streamlined assembly, take the middleman out of it. I'm just going to fire all the workers and I'm going to let robots do the job. I don't have to pay them. There's less upkeep. I don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to show up that day. So I'm going to move to that. And the other problem is with these bigger companies, executives are going to see the minimum wage increasing as a trend. They're going to see it happening again. Because once something happens, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, so going off what you said for the small businesses, I simply think if even if they can't pay like a living wage to their workers, they shouldn't be in business. Just they should whatever. But also as it's going up gradually, it should be going up gradually. The government should be giving assistance to these small businesses that are keeping all of their workers until it's like settled. And for your big business thing, automation is happening, whether we like it or not. It's going to keep happening, no matter what. Even if we raise the minimum wage, drop the minimum wage, get rid of the minimum wage completely, automation is going to happen. And I think that we should focus on giving as much of a good income to the workers that are still working as possible. Automation is a whole different problem that don't really have the solutions for.
And then I only really have one more point to make because I know we're running out of time on just us going back and forth. My other point that I wanted to make is that in a lot of the studies that have been done on increased minimum wages, it actually had a net effect of a negative, because while you are earning more money, you're not getting as many hours per week. So the family income actually decreases as opposed to increasing. They're making more money per shift, but they're not getting as many hours for each shift. And in Seattle in 2017, they actually did raise it to $15 an hour. And this led to an $125 a month average loss per person because their hours were cut. So yes, they made more money in the short term on each shift, but they actually ended up losing money in a net effect of a negative.
Okay, nice job, guys. So while you guys were talking, I was actually taking notes and even typing in my computer. My computer actually restarted, and now it's working again. So, all right. So now let's get into the question portions of the piece. I'm pretty sure this will be just us guys. So so the first question I think I'll ask will be for Eric. It's about so you're very pro $15 minimum wage. You're debating for it. I can tell you're a very staunch advocate for it. So one of the things that I'm going to ask you is that when the prices for stores go up, this is also what Sean was mentioning, and that would be that when the prices go up, then the boss or the owner of the store would have to lay off some of their employees because they can't afford to have less employees, and then because he can't have less employees, then he has to the owner of the store would have to change the prices of their product. Now, so then with that being said, why is it that you still support $15 minimum wage if the prices of these products are still going to go up?
Wait, can I comment on that before you answer? Just so that when you think of
it, let Eric answer, then you can rebuttal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing is, if you raise the minimum wage and you give like the workers more money, they're going to be spending more money on whatever like goods they need, like clothes, food, whatever. So I don't think that these like owners or managers are going to have to like raise their prices a lot because there's going to be more money in circulation, more people spending. If you don't raise the minimum wage and there's more money with the owners, they're just going to invest their money and not spend it, not put it in circulation. But I think if you do raise the minimum wage, it's going to keep spending. And I saw a study from the Chicago Fed. They said if the minimum wage increases $2, spending would increase by $28 billion. So like that spending has to do with like supply and demand.
Sean, your rebuttal.
I want, like, when you're thinking about how prices are going to go up and so they're going to have to lay off workers, I want you to think of it as it's not a direct correlation between losing the money or having to pay more money for the wages, so you're going to raise prices. That's not what's going to like screw them in the end. I'm sure some of them would be able to like combat that. Their razor thin margins would get even smaller, but they'd still be able to do it. The problem is when you raise your prices, you lose customers. So even if you somehow were able to combat this increase that you're going to have to pay out, you're losing customers. So you're losing income, not only because you have to pay out more to your employees, you also have to make up for not having the customers coming in and spending the same amount of money. So when you lose the customers, you lose more income. That's what leads to the layoffs and to possibly having to shut down the company.
Okay, thank you. This is for both of you guys. So right now, the federal minimum wage is $7.25. Would a $15 federal minimum wage do more harm to us or do more good for us? Sean, you start.
I think it would do more harm for, like, we've gone back and forth on it, but I'd say that the main reason was my last point that I made in the argument session, where yes, you're going to be making more money per shift, but you're going to lose money in the long run because you're not going to get as many hours for your job. So if you're like, yes, you're going to make more money per shift, but you're not going to make as much money in the long run. How is that beneficial?
Well, it's beneficial because even if you're like making less money, hypothetically, I don't know if that's true at all, but if you're working less hours and making more money, that gives you more time to do what? Get another job, go back to school, get an education, so you can work for like another job. I just think that giving like the people that spend their need to spend the most, giving them more money is just gonna stimulate the economy. So like I definitely think it's gonna do more good than harm. But there definitely will be some harm to it. Like some jobs are going to be lost. I've seen estimates up to 1 million jobs could be lost like immediately if it goes up. But I think that more good than harm is going to be done from raising the minimum wage.
I think it's like a double part with the job loss. It's not just people getting fired from their jobs to make up for the money. It's also, as I know we've all seen in this country, especially, if I'm going to have to pay someone $15 here, why am I going to have my company here? I'm going to go headquarter in India or China, a place where there's no minimum wage that's mandated. I'm going to make the same product and I'm going to pay $1 an hour instead of 15. I'm just going to outsource all the jobs.
Yeah, but that's just the nature of capitalism in general. I don't think the minimum wage really matters that much.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for your thoughts on that. And so this will be the last question. We're running out. We're kind of running out of time, and then we'll go to your final thoughts and conclusion. So this is just going to be for Sean. So you mentioned in your debate with Eric about low skilled workers, but skills can be attained pretty much anywhere, any job, any part time job. Skills can be attained by anybody, anywhere. So, and also you said how you wouldn't hire anyone with low skills. Like why would you not give low skilled workers a chance?
So I'm not going to hire the low skilled workers off of, if you have the opportunity to make more money as a higher qualified individual for this job and you're going to apply to it too, why am I going to hire someone that's poor, hasn't really worked before, doesn't know how to do anything else, when I could hire someone that's overqualified for the position, who's probably going to do a better job because they're overqualified for the position they're applying for, instead of the lower skilled worker who maybe that's all they can do. If I'm going to hire someone that's going to give me a little bit more bang for my buck as a businessman, I'm going to do that instead of taking the lower skilled worker.
All right. With that being said, then I will move into our conclusion. So, Eric, what is your conclusion? What do you want our audience to get out of today's debate?
All right. So I'd say the main conclusion is that based off of all of those reasons that I was saying, I think that raising the minimum wage is going to hugely increase the amount of economic mobility in this country, which is at an all-time low. As seen like in 1966 when it was raised, minimum wage decreased wealth inequality, specifically among minorities, which are the most affected from all this COVID stuff. I also think that raising minimum wage is going to benefit employers who won't have to hire new workers all the time because they're going to be having higher paid workers. So they're going to be happier. They're not going to want to leave. And also, I don't think it's going to really raise the price of goods too much because it's going to keep more money in circulation. More people are going to be spending. And yeah.
Nice. Sean?
I don't think that it should be a 15 and raised to the $15 minimum wage. Like I said, I think I said it in the intro. I might have said it in one of the other parts. I do think we do need to increase minimum wage, but you have to find the sweet spot. And I think $15, especially as a blanket minimum wage, is too high because in the end, you're going to have a net decrease in how much it actually helps people. They're not going to be earning as much money. And while, yes, you will have, like, managers will be happy they don't have to train new people, it means that these people that are in these jobs are going to stagnate and they're not going to work towards a potential, or what was my word for it? They're not going to work for their growth potential, because why would I want to do that if I can just sit here and do an easy job? So I think it's a bit of a catch-22. Yes, helps people a little bit, but in the end, it's not going to help people as much as they think. With the $15 increase, it's going to hurt the people that it's meant to help.
Thanks, Sean. Christian, are there any thoughts you want to add?
I just wanted to say thank you, boys. You both did a very admirable job. Sean's note taking seemed to be pretty extensive, so I appreciate that. And Sean didn't know that he was debating this topic until Friday. He thought he was talking about the atomic bomb, so he had to cram a bunch of information. So respect for him. Eric, as always, comes prepared. So much respect to you both. It was an enjoyable one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one too. Thanks, Eric and Sean. You both had very great thoughts, and I enjoyed moderating this debate. I look forward to next month's debate.
So this will be dropping Wednesday. So by the time you see this, it will be Wednesday. And if you have any debate topics that you want us to do, we're going to explore the option of maybe doing team debates in the future. I feel like that would be pretty fun. Just experience within the podcast. And we'll maybe do fan debates as well, like bring on like someone that's really passionate about a topic, have them discuss with one of our cast members.
Also, we will be doing a poll on our Instagram story. Vote who won the debate.
That's a good one. Who won the debate, Eric or Sean?
And as always, I think we still have our giveaway going for the $25 gift card. So make sure you enter that.
I'm actually going to be starting that tomorrow. So by Wednesday, we'll already have probably the whole first round done. So if you didn't make your bracket yet, well, I mean, sorry, it's too late, but stay tuned for the next giveaway. All right, that's all from us. Thank you, boys, again. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you next time.
Peace.